So you've clicked the link, let's get into it. This is all about the Looperboard from Headrush, from the eyes of a singer-songwriter or live performer, and how it stacks up against its main competitor, the RC300. Hi, this is John Paul from John Paul Music UK. If this is your first time here, my channel is all about music tech and looping. This is the first in a series of videos delving into the brand new Looperboard from Headrush, going from the basics of what's in the machine, how to set it up, how to get using it, right through to effects, settings, updates and storage, and even more. I'm going to be looking at it for live use for a gigging musician. So if you want to know when the next video goes live, subscribe to the channel and also click the bell so you don't miss anything. I have been using loop pedals for over 10 years, and actually I started with the Akai Headrush E2. Since then I've gone through far too many loop pedals, I care to admit, and I've been using what is commonly known as the flagship floor pedal looper, which is the Boss RC300. The reason for this is it's built like a tank. There is 3 loops synchronized together, built-in effects and a lot of functionality. However, we have to go back to December 2011, and this is when Boss released the RC300. Now, since then, they have released 2 tabletop loopers, the RC505, the 202, and re-engineered their loop pedal range. There are other manufacturers out there like TC Electronics who have released the Ditto range, their sister company TC Helicon who have the Voice Live range, Digitech Jamman range, Electro Harmonic Loopers, Boomerang, Vox, Nux, there's many more. But for someone who wants both vocals and guitar and possibly keyboards plugged into the looper, have 3 stereo loops as well as effects, and you want it on the floor, nothing else has come close to the Boss RC300 until now. Enter Headrush. Headrush is a company that came out of the InMusic parent company who own Akai Professional, Alesis, Newmark, M Audio, to name a few. And Headrush have built up their name with some amazing multi-effects guitar-based floor pedals. Utilizing quad-core processing and a touchscreen built into their gig boards and pedal boards, it's quickly become a one-stop solution for a lot of guitarists. I'm going to be honest, I was surprised to see the next stop for Headrush to actually release a looper. They began to hint at what it could be by showing what could be plugged in using their promotion. So what does the Looperboard have? The Looperboard is the world's first floorboard looper with a 7-inch touch display. It has a quad-core DSP system found in Headrush's other pedal boards. It has over 8 hours of internal storage, which is at 32-bit floating at 48 kHz audio quality. There's flexible audio routing, which we'll take a deeper look at later. There's a ton of built-in effects for what they say are for guitars, vocal, percussion, and more. There are 4 Combi XLR and jack inputs. There's 2 XLR outs and 2 jack outs, which are assignable. There's 12 foot switches with multiple controls, and I will dive into all of those. There are 2 USB slots with an SD card slot for external storage, and it comes with over 300 built-in drum and percussion loops to get you going, and it's built like a tank, and that is really important if you are gigging. It's certainly easy to say that this looper is a monster, and it has all the best features on paper, but what's it like to perform with? What's it like to program? And personally for me, can it replace my RC300? So in the box you will find the Headrush Looperboard unit. There is a power supply, a quick start guide, and a USB cable to connect to a computer for firmware updates. So it sounds pretty impressive, but what actually can it do? As a standalone loop pedal, first and foremost, we have 4 inputs, and you can plug in 4 separate instruments or microphones, and there are 4 separate loop channels, each with their own record, play, dub button, and their own stop and undo button. These correlate to the 4 channels on the touchscreen, where you can either import audio or record your own audio, and also overdub on that as well. Each preset or memory contains 4 loops, effects and settings. It has 5 different looper track modes. There's fixed, serial, sync, serial sync and free mode. Let me go through them with you now. So fixed, this is where all the loops are the same length and you've got 4 loops. Serial is where you can use different loops as different parts of a song. For example, track 1 could be the verse, track 2 could be the chorus, track 3 could be a breakdown, etc. Sync is where you can use all 4 loops together like fixed, but This time the loops can be different lengths. So track 1 could be 1 bar, track 2 could be 16 bars, track 3 could be 4 bars. Serial sync is a really clever option that I actually wanted for a while, where you could use one track as the drums and percussion and then 2, 3, 4 like serial mode. It's really useful because it means you don't have to recreate the rhythm track every single time. And the last mode is free mode. There are no rules. It's useful for ambient soundscapes or just break all the rules and create your own thing.
So here we are with the Looperboard by Headrush. What I've done, I've plugged my microphone into input 1, and then the output you should be hearing right now. I'm using the headphones so I can hear what's going on. A nice little touch that Headrush has done is all the dials go up to 11. I quite like that. So when you first unpack this and it boots up, I actually did the firmware update to it, so it's on the latest version of the software. So just to run over the board for you, we've got the 4 input controls just here at the top. We've got the 7-inch touchscreen display, which I'll go into in a minute. Then we've got our master out, which you can hear. We've got the phones out that I can hear. And then we've got an aux as well. We've also got this dial, which you can turn and also click for different settings. So then we have the 12 switches. So the master switches we have are here, these 4. And then we've got the other 8 here that control the loops. So we have loop 1, loop 2, loop 3 and loop 4. Each one has a record, play, overdub and also a stop and undo. So we've got 4 loops, which I'll hear in their entirety, and there are 4 loops on the screen. I'll go into the screen in a moment. And then you can see written in white, we've got record, play, overdub on track on loop number 1, and then we've got stop and undo there as well, and that is track number 1 as well. So you'll see things written in white, and that's the normal function for these buttons. And then we've got a function button which is orange, and then when you tap that, it'll change over to something different. So just to roll through this, we've got loop number 1 to 4, and then we've got the effects, which I'll go into. We've got tempo, so we can set the tempo for the loop if you need to, or you can turn that off. And then we've got a start and stop all, which is very, very useful. You have that on the RC300. It's something I use all the time. And then this goes into function and also exit function. So, for example, if I start a loop, I obviously would record here and then stop and undo here. But we can do so much more than that. When we click function, what we do is we go into the orange options. Now, there's been some demos out on YouTube and a couple of others that show people that they're actually touching the screen, and you can do that. But each one of these corresponds to each one of these. So we've got, for example, transpose, peel, bounce, clear, length, speed, reverse, fade. You've also got backing track, tuner, loop select, and then exit. So we've got tuner. So if I hit tuner, what you'll notice about tuner, because what it does is it mutes the output no matter what's coming in, whether it be a mic or a guitar. Very, very useful. Then we've got backing track, and you can actually plug in SD cards and have backing tracks inside, which is very, very clever. We've got loop select, and loop select I've actually got 2 set up already here. So I've got number 1, which I use just for general looping, and then that's one of my songs called Old Hill. But then if we hit function, what we've got is we've got these different settings. So as I say, we've got transpose, and it will transpose the sound without changing the tempo, which is really clever. So if I go into that now, it'll ask me which one I want to transpose. So you might want to leave the drum track, but then transpose just the vocal track, which is really clever. The other one is peel, where unlike undo, what it does is it takes the layers off that you've actually done. Then you've got bounce. So if you've used 4 tracks and you need even more, you can bounce them down so you can get more tracks. You've got clear, which is self-explanatory. It clears the whole track and it clears every part of that track. Be careful with that. Obviously, it will erase it. You can't get it back. Fade will fade out the track. So if I go to fade, for example, it'll ask me how much of the fade I want to do, the fade out rate, and which tracks do you want to fade. So you just go fade all tracks, go, and then it'll do it. It's really nice because it's just a nice option than just straight stopping it. Reverse is that loop. So if I go into reverse, which track do you want to reverse? I really like this. It doesn't just go like reverse them all. It asks you which track you want to reverse, or which one you want to peel, or which one you want to clear. Speed, what you can do is you can then obviously go by sort of times 2 or half or quarter, and then the current speed. And then also length as well. So you can actually lengthen the loop. So if you've done a loop and you've gone boom, boom, but you actually want it to be 4 bars long, you could actually then times 2 that, and it would actually extend the size of the loop. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to create a quick loop. I'm not going to put any effects on it at all, and then we'll go into effects in a moment.
This is a series of videos that I'm going to be releasing, so please look out for the next one, and I'll see you very, very soon.